Walk into any luxury boutique in New York, Los Angeles, or Miami, and you'll see them immediately. Crocodile skin handbags glowing under soft golden lights, displayed behind thick glass like precious artifacts. They're flawless, stunning, and unmistakably symbols of status. But every time someone in America lays down $4,000 for one of these bags, a question quietly lingers in the background, one most people never bother to ask. Where does this story actually begin? And if we followed that story to its very first chapter, would it still feel as glamorous? In the US, a crocodile handbag isn't just a fashion accessory. It's a statement, an icon of wealth and exclusivity. And precisely because of this appetite for luxury, the crocodile leather trade has evolved into a global supply chain stretching across continents, operating with a scale and precision few consumers ever get a glimpse of. From farms of Southeast Asia and Australia to processing facilities in European ateliers, each piece of leather moves through an industrial ecosystem designed to turn a living creature into a flawless luxury commodity. By the time the product lands on Madison Avenue or Rodeo Drive, the entire messy, complicated, uncomfortable truth of its origins has been polished away. Many Americans believe that anything sold in an upscale boutique must come with high ethical standards, clean, humane, transparent. But in the world of luxury, what the customer sees is the final chapter, not the full story. It's similar to how military strategies are often hidden behind clean press briefings. The surface looks simple, but beneath it lies an intricate machinery most people never witness. The luxury fashion industry operates the same way. We're familiar with the finished artifact, the perfectly stitched handbag, the meticulously crafted wallet. What we don't see is the pipeline behind it. The farms where crocodiles are raised in controlled environments, the production lines where efficiency meets biology, the industrial processing stages that transform raw skin into supple, high-value leather. By the time the product lands on Madison Avenue or Rodeo Drive, the entire messy, complicated, uncomfortable truth of its origins has been polished away. And it's exactly why this video exists. Not to condemn anyone who loves luxury, and not to portray fashion as inherently immoral, but to open the door that the industry typically prefers to keep closed. To guide American viewers through every layer of a process they've likely never seen, beginning in the farms where crocodiles are raised like industrial livestock, continuing through the factory-like systems where their bodies are processed with mechanical precision, and ending in the ateliers, where artisans transform the material into the object of desire displayed in Fifth Avenue storefronts. This journey isn't meant to strip luxury of its beauty. Instead, it's meant to reveal the complexity behind it, the global machinery, the ethical questions, the hidden contradictions that define modern consumer culture. Because understanding what lies behind the shine doesn't diminish the product. It simply gives us a clearer lens through which to view the choices we make. And perhaps that clarity is the truest kind of luxury we can afford today. Most Americans picture crocodiles as wild, ancient creatures lurking in murky waters, symbols of untamed nature. But the reality behind the luxury industry looks nothing like that image. The journey of a crocodile destined for high-end fashion doesn't begin in a swamp. It begins in a system, built, engineered, and optimized for predictable output. A system that feels less like nature and more like manufacturing. Across Southeast Asia, Australia, and parts of Latin America, large-scale crocodile facilities operate with the precision of industrial farms. Rows of temperature-controlled enclosures line concrete walkways. Overhead sensors track humidity. Automated feeders distribute meals at fixed intervals. Cameras monitor every corner, recording growth rates, behavior patterns, and environmental changes. Everything is measured. Everything is logged. Nothing is left to chance. Because the quality of the final product, the smoothness of the scales, the symmetry of the belly skin, depends on eliminating unpredictability. Inside these facilities, crocodiles aren't predators stalking their prey. They're livestock in a meticulously managed environment designed for one purpose:
producing premium-grade skins for the global luxury market. And while that system is legal and regulated, there's something unnervingly clinical about seeing a creature that once represented raw wilderness transformed into an asset tracked like inventory. Every enclosure has a barcode or ID number. Every animal is part of a spreadsheet. Life becomes data. For American viewers, this raises an uncomfortable but necessary question. When an animal's existence is engineered for fashion, where does nature end and industry begin? The workers who run these facilities will tell you the system is structured to minimize harm and maximize quality. They'll explain the science. The controlled temperatures prevent disease. The calm environment prevents injuries that would scar the skin. The routine reduces stress. And in many ways, they're right. The system is efficient. It's carefully designed. It works. But efficiency has a strange side effect. It makes everything feel emotionally distant. The raw, unpredictable essence of a living creature slowly dissolves into the cold logic of production. You watch crocodiles moving in a pen and realize you're witnessing something paradoxical. A wild species living inside a perfectly controlled industrial world. It challenges the American romanticism of wildlife, the belief that nature should be free, chaotic, and untouched. And yet, this is the part of the story almost no consumer ever sees. By the time a finished handbag reaches Fifth Avenue or a boutique in Beverly Hills, the buyer is looking at the end of a chain that began in environments nothing like the wilderness they might imagine. A chain driven not by nature, but by demand, by markets, by luxury. This isn't about placing blame or moral judgment. It's about transparency, about understanding the full journey of something we often admire without question. Because if part one showed us the illusion of perfection, part two reveals the foundation beneath it. A world where crocodiles no longer exist as symbols of the wild, but as components of a global production model designed to feed an industry that thrives on exclusivity. And as we move into the next phase of this journey, the line between living creature and luxury material becomes even thinner. What happens when these animals reach the age and size the industry deems ideal? What does the transition from life to product look like inside a system built for speed and output? That's where the story is about to turn, and where many consumers would rather not look. But to understand the true cost of luxury, we have to follow the journey all the way into the heart of the process. The next stage of this journey begins far from the polished storefronts of Beverly Hills and Fifth Avenue. Deep inside the industrial complex, the environment shifts. The lighting grows sharper, the machinery louder, the movements more synchronized. This is the harvest zone, the point where the system's design meets the reality of a living animal. And it is here that the contrast between efficiency and life becomes impossible to ignore. Crocodiles are guided into this section through a network of hydraulic gates and soft surface conveyor platforms designed to move heavy animals with minimal stress. The intention is not violence, but control, keeping the process steady, predictable, and safe for the workers who stand along the rails. Overhead arms equipped with non-invasive scanners sweep across each animal, measuring length, width, and weight in seconds. Every tilt of a platform, every beep from a sensor, every adjustment of a robotic arm is engineered to maximize precision. Workers in protective gear stand by with practiced efficiency. They follow protocols refined over decades, handling the animals carefully, securing them with padded restraints, documenting each step on checklists and tablets. Their movements are calm and methodical. In their eyes, this is not chaos, it is procedure. It is routine. It is the heartbeat of an industry that depends on reliability. And yet, as the conveyor line moves forward, something deeper becomes visible beneath the glow of warm industrial lights. The machines move with mechanical perfection, each movement identical to the last, automated, optimized, flawless. The crocodile, however, is not a machine. Its breathing is uneven, its muscles shift, its tail flexes, its eyes move independently as it tries to make sense of the world around it. In that moment, the entire assembly line feels suspended between two realities, one engineered, one alive. The machine moves with perfection, the narration says. The animal does not. It's a truth that lingers, a truth that resonates, because no matter how optimized the system becomes, no conveyor belt, no scanner, no robotic platform can erase the fact that this part of the process involves a living creature. Industry leaders maintain that everything here is designed around humane standards. The soft restraints, the warm lighting, the reduced noise, the carefully managed pace of the process. And yes, much of that is true. Compared to the unregulated past, today's facilities operate under far stricter oversight. But the question remains, and it's a question American viewers cannot easily sidestep. Can a process built for maximum efficiency ever truly be humane? Is there such a thing as ethical automation when the product at the center of the system was once a predator of the wild? For most consumers, this is the point they never see. The harvest stage, with all its machinery and choreography, is hidden behind the veneer of luxury branding. By the time a crocodile skin product reaches a store in Los Angeles or New York, it has been transformed, cleaned, shaped, refined, and elevated far beyond the industrial reality where it began. And this is where the story turns, because from this moment on, the journey splits into two very different paths, one for the skin, one for the rest of the animal. Two separate streams moving toward two separate industries. To many Americans, one of these paths feels familiar, almost harmless. But the other path carries a narrative few people ever consider, yet it defines the true cost hidden inside the sheen of luxury.
When the harvest stage ends, the system splits in two. The crocodile moves beyond the threshold of the industrial corridor, and suddenly, its future diverges. One path for the skin, one path for everything else. It's the moment where the animal is no longer treated as a single being, but as multiple materials destined for different industries. And for most American consumers, this is the part of the journey that feels the least visible, even though it shapes the final products they see on shelves. The skin takes the premium route. It's transferred into a sterile processing hall, meticulously cleaned and cataloged, then sent into temperature-controlled storage. Every piece is photographed, scanned, measured, and tagged. Technicians examine the scale pattern for symmetry and smoothness. They look for blemishes, imperfections, or natural irregularities, features that might determine whether this skin becomes a $500 wallet, a $4,000 handbag, or a rejected piece sold to a lower-tier manufacturer. Here, value isn't just in the material, it's in the precision. A flawless belly panel can be worth more than the entire rest of the animal. From there, the skins move into the tanning phase. Large drums rotate them through solutions that preserve, soften, and stabilize the material. Contrary to popular imagination, this part of the process is more chemistry than craftsmanship. Strict formulations, measured pH levels, timed rotations. In high-end facilities, technicians rely on digital readouts and automated injections to maintain consistency. A few decades ago, this step involved far more guesswork. Today, it's as standardized as automotive or aerospace manufacturing. And yet, each piece still carries subtle natural differences. No two skins are ever perfectly identical, even in a system built on uniformity. Once tanned and finished, the skins begin their international journey. Some travel to Italy, where luxury houses transform them into meticulously stitched handbags. Some go to Japan for precision leatherwork. Others move to the US, where boutique designers craft limited edition pieces. By the time a product reaches a display case in New York or San Francisco, its industrial origins are not just hidden, they're almost unimaginable. The raw material that once moved down a stainless steel conveyor now sits beneath soft boutique lighting, its story polished away by branding and presentation. But the rest of the crocodile follows a very different path. In many facilities, the meat is processed on separate lines, cut, packaged, and sold for consumption. Some parts become specialty cuisine in regional markets.
Others entered the supply chain for pet food or nutritional supplements, and some components are used for scientific or medical purposes. In other words, the animal is transformed into a series of parallel commodities, each with its own customer, each with its own economic logic. For American viewers, this raises a complex question about transparency. Luxury brands frequently emphasize craftsmanship, heritage, and exclusivity, but they rarely show the industrial reality behind their materials. They rarely discuss how many products can come from a single animal, or how globalized and efficiency-driven these supply chains truly are. And that disconnect shapes public perception. When consumers see a handbag displayed on velvet in a Fifth Avenue boutique, its origin feels distant, almost abstract. This is where the conversation shifts from merely ethical to deeply structural. The issue isn't simply whether the industry follows humane standards, it's about understanding the full system, the multiple markets, the economic incentives, the global networks that turn a living creature into a diversified set of products. Whether one agrees with it or not, this transformation is real, it's global, and it's driven by demand. And in many ways, it reflects a broader truth about industries we interact with every day. The more polished the final product, the more invisible the system behind it becomes.